Hey guys, and welcome back to Left on Red. It's your girl, Sierra. Today's episode is going to be extremely interesting and just like mind boggling because that's how I felt when I went through what we're going to be talking about today, which is astrocartography. I feel like I'm butchering that name. I probably am. But we're going to talk about it because I got an astrocartography reading done on Saturday and it was pretty interesting. Okay. So get a snack, get a drink. We're going to be talking about where I should move to based off of my astrocartography chart, I guess you can say, the map of it all, where I should move to find my career, to find my growth potential, and to find love. Okay, which is why we're really here. Just kidding, but all important things, and like where I should move to for family. So I need you guys, yeah, get a drink, get a snack. Today's episode is going to just kind of blow your mind because I'm going to be piecing together different things from past episodes and how it all came into my reading on Sunday. So let's get into it. Now, first, I got a reading done by Seth Jube, I believe is his last name. I'm going to link him below. I think he's great. And I do just want to preface by saying this is not a sponsored episode. He did not like give me this reading for free so I can talk about it here. It's like there's no code. Sadly, I wish I could give you guys a code, right? But I love the reading. I think he's great. He's a great astrologer, in my opinion. So nothing is sponsored, all just my opinion and what I went through. So let's get into it because I think everyone should do this, even if you're not big into astrology. It's just interesting. I really feel like it is just like a different way of like looking at your birth chart. So to kind of piece all of this together, what if you're a new listener or even if you're a returning listener, my loyal listeners in the Left on Red community, you guys will remember my Eat, Pray, Love episode. And it was kind of like a two-parter in the sense of like I tell you guys about how I had this Eat, Pray, Love trip. And then the episode right after that is called Laid Off Twice, What's Next? And I speak about, my journey in getting laid off. So we're going to rewind back to that because we'll all lead into this reading. Now, just a quick recap and for people who know, and if you don't, a little quick summary. Last year in 2022, I did an Eat, Pray, Love trip. I stayed in Europe for 3 months. I did that trip because I honestly felt in compelled in the way like I wanted to change. I really wanted something different. I did a week-long trip with like a week-long girl trip, and then I stayed for 11 more weeks. Now, go back to the episode 5, I believe, to hear about that journey. Towards the end of my Eat, Pray, Love, I was in Turkey, and I knew I wanted to go. I mean, not go. I knew I wanted to stay on that side of the world. And I figured I will just live in London because I was in London for a week and a half. I was with my family, and London was just like a place you can get everywhere to for like a good amount of money. Like when I was in London and I went to Mykonos, like that plane ticket was only $57. So I'm like, okay, London is where I want to live. So what do I need to do? While I was in Turkey, I asked the company that I was with at the time for a raise because I just had my performance review. Mind you, I was working remote for this whole time while I was away, and my performance review, I think it came back like almost 5 out of 5. Like it was like across the board really good. I asked for a promotion, and my boss at the time, he was a little shisty. He was out for himself, which is fine, I guess, but he was out for self and just didn't want to see anybody else grow. And so he kind of like passed me up for a promotion. So I was like, okay, I know I need to leave, but more importantly, I need to go back to America. So while I was in Turkey, I was talking to all my friends here in New York, my friends just here in the US. I was redoing my resume, redoing my LinkedIn, just putting out fillers. And then I just prayed to God. I promise you guys. I talk about this in the Laid Off Twice episode 6. I just prayed to God. And I think in the prayer, I said something like, God, if this is meant for me, it's meant for me. If it's going to work out, like just show me. I am looking for a job that can give me this life to live over here. And I promise you, the next day, I was scrolling on social media, and an agency that I followed and I really adored and admired at the time, they were based out of London, and they had opened a New York office early, like 2022. And I get on social media, I'm on Instagram just scrolling, and I see they post account manager position in the New York office. I apply. I get an email back saying we would love to interview you in person. And it was so crazy because I think like a day before that, I bought my ticket to go back home to New York. And so as the story goes, I come back to New York, I interview for about 3 weeks. I get the job, leave my old job, work there until December, and I was laid off. Now, I say all that to say was it's like to preface this reading because that's really gonna like bring all like it's a full circle moment. My goal was always to move to London. And I told them I was like, I would work out of your New York office to start and kind of like get this started up, but I would love to be in London by next year. And they were eagerly saying, like, we would love to bring you over to London, have you meet like, physically meet the team here, do some trainings here. Like we, would love that back and forth. So I was excited for that. That sadly did not happen. And so for 2023, I kind of felt like, and I've mentioned this, maybe not on the podcast, but like with my friends, I've said a few times, like, or just like, like whenever it came up with people, I was like, yeah, like I was supposed to, like my goal was to be in London this year, and it just hasn't happened and it hasn't worked out. It's, it is what it is. And I've just always wanted to go there. I don't know why. Well, I know why, because I had that experience, even though I wasn't even in London for long. I just had that experience there, and I just felt like when I was there, it just was so peaceful to me. So now here we are now in 2023, and since about June, I've been feeling like, okay, I got to ramp some things up. I got to start some new things for the podcast, what I want to do, where I want to live, where I want to go. And unfortunately, I had to take a little break for the pod, make sure that we were all set in stone. But fortunately, that led me to kind of discover new things that I wanted to do and about myself. And I kept hearing about astrocartography. And essentially I'm going to read you guys the definition because I don't want to butcher it. Okay. Astrocartography is a method of locational astrology by which specific geographic locations are associated with expected differences in a personal life circumstances. So basically, you're going to you use your birth time and where you were born, your birth. So like essentially like your birth chart, you put it in and you get all like these lines that run through a map. And I'll post this on story so it like makes sense. So it's like literally like a map, like a blue map. You see all the continents, you see all the countries, whatever. And based off of where like your birth time and where you were born, these lines run through certain places. And these lines represent where you should go or where you may be and where you may experience some of these things. So I decided to book a reading because for the past since June until really now, I've just been feeling like, you know what? I think I want to live a bi-coastal lifestyle. I think I would like having 6 months here in New York and 6 months in London or 6 months anywhere else. Okay, who knows? But I just feel strongly compelled to go. And I don't know why. And it was that same feeling that I felt with during Eat, Pray, Love, like, before I had my Eat, Pray, Love moment, just like this compelling feeling like I need to be over there. I don't know why, but I just know I need to go. And I found Seth on Instagram, and I've been following his page for a while. I really enjoy the content he puts out. I think it's great. So I just looked at his services. I was like, you know what? He does astrocartography, because not every astrologer does this, by the way. So I was like, he does it. This is reasonably priced, in my opinion. So I'm going to just book it and see what goes. Okay. Now, you have all this backstory, all this context. Saturday comes, and I'm like, all right, let's see, what is this reading going to be about? So we get on the call instantly, just great personality, great vibe, very comfortable. He let me know a little bit about my birth chart, what's happening in the stars and what could be happening to me. And then we jumped into my astrocartography. So, guys, prepare to just with be like mind fucked right now, okay? That because that's how I felt, mind fucked. Now, when you first look at the map, it is very overwhelming because you see all these lines, but he like broke it down for me and we really just zoomed in on 4 lines, which is my ascending, my IC, midheaven, and my DC were the 4 main lines. And your ascendant is like your self-expression. The IC is like your belonging to the world, where you feel like most at home at, I believe. Your midheaven reflects how you are like in your career. And then your DC is energies you're drawing to yourself and others. So like relationships and friendships. Now, we get on this call, I see the chart and he's like, okay. I was like, he's like, where do you want to start? I believe he said something like that. And I was like, I really want to see like career and growth. Like, where should I go? Or like, where is this, the map telling you based off of like my birth time and chart where I should go for like career and just like growth, like strong potential and growth. Because I wanted to live in London and it didn't happen. And I don't know. And like when I said that, his eyes like got so big and he was like, this is gonna mind fuck you because that's exactly where it's telling me to go. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, Sierra, you said something, so he's making it up. Guys, he's not making it up because it's literally my birth time. Like I was born at a certain time in a certain place, so he can't make it up. It's not like he's like pulling cards. He's literally pulling my information. And so I have it, so he has it up for me. And when we zoom in, my like IC and my midheaven are going through the UK. And then the other line is like literally going through London and Dublin, Ireland. Now, what's so interesting about it going through Dublin is I did an ancestry test back in November. And that I was again like shocked at my ancestry because so my mom is from Grenada, born and raised there. Her parents, my grandparents are Grenadian. So my descendants obviously come from West Africa. Knew that. My dad he was born in Belize and his mom is 100% Belizean, and people from Belize come from Honduras, Nicaragua. They come from all over, honestly. So it's like whatever. So I expected that. But my ancestry said that I was 12% Irish. And I was like, where's that coming from? My dad's dad is African American, and he was in the army when he met my grandmother. And then after they had my dad, they came to the US. His great, 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 great grandfather was an Irish immigrant who procreated with a Black lady. They had a mixed race child, and then that mixed race child had a baby with a Black man, and then on and on and on and on. They had my grandfather, which is how I have the last name Claire from my dad, and then my grandfather. Claire is an Irish last name, and I just thought that was so like I just didn't know that and I didn't expect that. So I was shocked, one. But since last year, I was always like, I would want to, I wasn't dying to go to Ireland like I was London, but I was like, I think going to Ireland would be really nice because I have a coworker who is from Ireland and she was letting me know, like, yeah, like Clare is like, it's not I think it's like a town or a province over there in Ireland. Like, she's like, yeah, so like you're from there. It's like a real town or whatever. And I was just like, this is so interesting. So when I physically am looking at my map with my birth time and place and seeing the IC and midheaven line, which is all about like career expansion, self-growth, run through London, the UK, and Ireland. I'm like, is this why I feel a strong connection? Because I like my last name is like I have, I'm just like that's where I'm not from there, right? But like it was just it just made me feel like this feeling that I'm feeling inside is not in vain, right? And I know some people won't understand that because some people don't believe in astrology or whatever. I personally believe, like religiously, I believe in God. I like astrology. I think it's very interesting. But it made me feel like the way I'm feeling is not in vain. And I feel so strongly towards this for a reason. So that was like, I was like, oh shit, I'm mind fucked. Then let me tell you guys the other line that it ran through for home. I'm sorry. So for London, UK, and Dublin, it was my ascendant line, I believe, and my midheaven line. Now my IC line, which I think is like more like home and family, ran through Belize. Not kidding, guys. It literally ran straight through like the middle of the USA, right down into Belize. Now, I'm not super close with my dad's side of the family. I'm more closer with my mom's side of the family. So I'm thinking, okay, like my home will be like Grenada, like that's where it's going to be. No, it ran straight through Belize. And so Seth was saying, which the astrologer, right, who's telling me all this information, was like, you know, it's it runs through Belize, but a lot of that can come from, healing. And, you can go there and really like want to see your family and, get healing and closure. And I was just like, wow. Now, he also gave me a website that I can put all this information in, and then it gives me like a brief summary too. So when I went back and looked, it said, um, like this line's running through Belize, and you could possibly buy property there. You may feel really at home there. You'll like feel at ease. And I never associated Belize with me feeling at ease because because I'm just not close to that side of my family. But that also kind of brought like a feeling of like, okay, maybe one day that can happen. It was really, really nice. And then over in New York was like a circle with a few lines through it. And he said this means like New York is your creative outlet. Like you will always like want to come back here. Every time you come here, you feel creative, you feel like you can express yourself. There's always a lot of growth, but you may get tired of it, but you'll always like come back. Like New York is like your safe space where you can grow and succeed. And I truly do feel that. So as of this part of the reading, I'm like kind of mind fucked because I'm like everywhere, like I've been feeling like I want to live in London, and I see the lines running through my chart for London for growth. Never associated with Belize being like home to me. And it could be. And again, with New York, like I said earlier in this episode, I'm thinking I might want to live a bi-coastal lifestyle. So now I feel like everything I'm feeling is not, and like I'm not making it up. Because again, guys, it's literally my birth time and place all running through this chart. So now we get to the part about the love. Okay. So I was like, all of this is great. Love it, love it, love it. Where do I need to go to find love? Because, like, come on, this is what we're here for. So he was like, okay, this is even more. So this is what he's telling me. He's like, okay, this is what's even more interesting. Because when I show you where you are going to go, you may be a little shocked. However, it doesn't, like, he's like, you don't need to physically go to this country. But you may be attracted to the food or the culture, or your person may be from here. And I'm like, okay, cool. Guys, all of my like love lines run through Australia and New Zealand. Who the fuck is in Australia and who the fuck is in New Zealand? What? So I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is impossible. And I'm like, this is impossible. And he was just like, there's a lot of Australians in New York. I'm like, yeah, there are, but like, I don't even know one Australian. I don't. There's a lot of everyone in New York, by the way. There's literally everyone you could think of in New York. And that's so but I'm like, But what was funny to me about this is like I remember last year actively saying like I'm not going to Australia or New Zealand. Um, like I've always actively like avoided there because I'm like it's way too expensive. What would I do there? There's nothing but kangaroos and creatures. Like I just never had any appeal to go over there. Like ever. Like or even to Asia. And not because I don't want to go. The flight is so long and it's so expensive. Like I need to like have a full itinerary. Like the first I've flown is to Africa. And that was a 2-day ordeal, which was very long. So I was like, I can't go any further. So I've actively avoided that. And then to see my love lines go like literally go through Australia and New Zealand, I was shocked. And I just thought like it runs through like Sydney and Brisbane, I think. And like it was so crazy. And he's like, your person could be from Australia, or he could really like Australia or the culture or the food, or there's just something, that could be like that could be a good possibility for love. And I didn't know what to say because I like even me talking about this right now just sounds so crazy. Sounds so crazy. Like, I don't know what to say to that. I've never met one Australian in my life. I don't know anything about Australian culture besides that they barbecue and Outback Steakhouse. So I really don't know. That's the one questionable thing, okay, that I will say. That's what's questionable. So if I find somebody, then I will, you know, clip in this episode and be like, guys, I found my Australian or my person who has Australian roots. Guys, who knows? Who knows? But that was my astrocartography reading. And to sum it up, I personally feel like it was helpful. And I think everyone should get it. Even if you don't believe in astrology, or believe in it heavily, I'm pretty sure you've read your zodiac sign and related to it. And if you don't relate to it, get your birth time and where you were born and get your rising and your moon sign because you probably relate to your rising a little bit more. Because I think it's like a helpful tool. It's not the end all be all. I don't like follow it, like to the T, but I do find a lot of it to be true in like your personality traits or like how you may handle things or your communication style. I think it's helpful in that area and like how you communicate with others and etc. And I think for this astrocartography, if you're in a space like me where you feel like you're not in a funk, but you feel stagnant in the sense like whether you live in New York, Florida, California, Nevada, I don't know, Singapore, wherever. And I say Singapore because we have a lot of Singapore listeners, which I think is like amazing. But wherever you're at, if you're feeling stagnant and not sure where you want to go next or what's the next move, I would 100% book this reading. I haven't moved yet, so I can't say once you do the reading to pack your bags and move. But what I can say is that we all know things will happen when it's supposed to. It's all about timing, the right time when things are aligned. The same way with the whole Eat, Pray, Love thing happened to me in that episode I talked about since like 6 months before I went on the trip. I was thinking about a trip like this. And then 3 months before I booked my flight, I found the company and then I went on this trip with these girls and then I got to have this experience. Like it was already finding me. And I truly believe like whatever you're looking for is looking for you too. And regardless of what you believe in, religious or not religious, whatever, what you put in the world is what you get back out. And if you're in a place where you're like, all right, I want something, I don't know where to look for it, but this is my intention, this is what I'm going for, it's going to start to find you. It's going to align with you. So if you feel stagnant, if you feel like you want to move for your career, for your highest potential, for your best communication, for it to find love, like book this reading. Again, do you have to move these places? No. But Seth does explain like which side of like the hemisphere you should move on. Like example, like London should be like on like the west or the east. He'll break it down to you a little bit more, and you can come with your questions. So I think this is something everyone should do. Again, it might not be for everyone, which is fine, but if you're interested, again, everyone in the sense of if you are in a space where you're ready to make a change, you just don't know what's next, like where to go, this is the reading you should do. And if you don't know what's next or what's going to happen or like how this, like what you want to do, I would book like a birth chart reading. But for like location, book the astrocartography reading. And before I go, just a little quick thing. I told him, I was like, I was in Greece for the longest amount of time when I was over in Europe, and I just loved it there so much. I wanted to move there and blah, 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 blah. So he goes to, like, he zooms in on the map, literally no lines run through Greece. None really run through the Mediterranean at all. And the closest lines that again, so like nothing ran through Greece or like the Mediterranean. The closest line to it was my line of communication. And he was like, this is the line of communication. And so like if you go any, like if like what may happen to you because this line is the closest is like a lot of transformation. You may grow in your communication skills, you may grow through nostalgia, you may just grow through like life experiences that keep happening to you to transform you into to where you're supposed to be. And I was like, I kind of agree. I think Greece was a transformation. If you want to know about that, listen to the Eat, Pray, Love episode. I know I keep plugging it for some reason, but I say all of that because it's a full circle moment. Last year, I had this amazing experience that I felt the same way I'm feeling now, like I should go. I leave that trip wanting to go to London. I formulate this plan. It honestly worked. Like it really worked out in my favor, only to be laid off 3 months later. And we're back here a year later. So, guys, changes are coming. Okay. This full circle moment is coming. I don't know if, or how about this? I don't know when I would move. But after this reading and having this kind of like confirmation, again, all based off of my own birth chart. And I just keep repeating that because I know people are gonna be like, oh, like, well, if you told him, of course he's gonna say London. Like, no, he has to literally, I have to give him my birth chart information. Like, you can't, make it up. My own birth chart is like saying, this is a place for growth and expansion in this time in your life. It makes me feel a lot better that what I was thinking and feeling was not in vain. So a move may be on the way. I may be bi-coastal. I don't know. I truly don't know yet. I'm strongly thinking about it though. Strongly. I will not be moving to Australia or New Zealand. Absolutely not. One, it's crazy expensive. Two, not doing it. But like I said, if I meet my person and he's Australian or has his Australian or New Zealand, if something comes back to this, I will add this, clip in that episode. But if not. But yeah, guys, a move may be on the way. And I will keep you 100% posted on what's going to happen. But with that being said, let me know what you guys think about today's episode. Are you interested in astrocartography? Have you heard of it before? Will you get a reading? I'm going to have Seth's information in the description of this episode. Make sure you're following the page. I'm going to post more about it on there. But that was, my experience. It was shocking. It was like mind-boggling, but I left feeling like I left with clarity. I left with comfort, and I left on a track to make the next steps in my life happen. And that may come with a move. So stay tuned. Who knows? Not saying I don't know when the move would happen, but it's in the air. So we'll see. But I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.